Hi everybody. Today I thought I'd do something a little different. Obviously if you guys follow me, you know I love making little mini books and little mini journals. But this project, the book itself, was actually made by my dear friend DeeDee when I was in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago. She gave me and my sister one of these fabulous handmade books. So I thought it would be fun just to make something for the sake of just making something. I haven't done that in a while because a lot of times my projects are for some of my creative teams or design teams. So I thought it'd be fun to just kind of get some paint down. I used all kinds of StencilGirl Stencils. I used the StencilGirl guts throughout the book, these hands, which are fabulous. I just painted them. So instead of taking photos of the book, I thought I'd do a short little video to walk you through each page because you can kind of get the feeling of the book a little bit more in a video instead of through photos. So let's go. So you can see the book that DeeDee made. It's got various different papers and fabrics on the inside of it, and she just machine stitched it. Where's the center of it? Machine stitched, can't find the center. Anyway, there is a center in here. Maybe there, just through the center of it. So that's how the book is bound together. So what I did, I got out some Dina Wakley paints. That's what most of this is painted with. I did have some Lindy Stamp Gang spray mist as well, just to have a different look. My Posca acrylic paint markers, which I love. I use them all the time. And of course, StencilGirl Stencils, which are my go-to. And I've got various ones in here. If there's one that you're curious on which one it is, just let me know and I'll comment below. So on the first page, you can see I just added some stencils on here with some paint and doodled a little bit. And then throughout the book, I thought it would be fun to, for my words, just to do. Just to be reminded that you constantly need to do or to be. So I just have different words throughout the book. So do genuine, always be genuine, be who you are. So you can see there's some stencils here. I did machine stitch as well through some of the pages. These are just some of the baby wipes that I was using as I was going through the project, and they dried, so I thought I would stitch some of that on there as well. It was just kind of whatever was on my desk I used. Some of the paint on some of these pages DeeDee had already added on there, but I went ahead and added quite a bit of stenciling and some other colors to it. So you can see, again, I was just doodling. I was using the colors that were already on the page to doodle on. And this was stenciled on and just scribbled. So do positive. Always try to be positive. You can see here's one of those StencilGirl guts. I just love those, and I just painted them with some of the Dina Wakley paints, and they really stand out on the page. Kind of nice. This page right here, DeeDee actually had most of the paint already on it, so I just added some doodles. And then, again, the baby wipe on the corner, and then just stitched it down. And then on the back side, I did do some stenciling and some doodling on the back side of that page. She had some of this wonderful ribbon in here. I'm not quite sure who it is, so I just sprayed on it, and then I just randomly stitched on it just for some fun patterns on here. And then here's another page. It was a looks like it from some sort of book. I don't know if it was dictionary. It looks like a poem or a quote. And again, I used some of my stencils on here and some spray mist. And I got super messy in here. I wasn't really caring that it wasn't perfect. And as I was doing pages, you can see here when I did the pink page here, it kind of flipped over as I was going through and I got on here. But you know what? That's kind of cool because it's random, not expected, and it's definitely unique. So do kind. Obviously that's very important to do kind. So you can see another one of those StencilGirl guts, and I just stitched that one on there. You can see she's got bingo pages on here, so I thought that was kind of fun. I didn't do tons on those because I really liked the blue and the patterns on here. Just highlighted some of the numbers. Do fun. It's important not to forget to have fun. And again, more stencils. Here's one of the baby wipes I used as a little tab to fold the page over. And that's the back side of that page. And then she's got a bunch of little ones in here. So again, I just actually laid this yellow or this star stencil down and used all 3 pages of it. And then just painted each one, doodled on each one differently. But it was cool because it creates a cohesive look on those 3 pages. Do passion. So you should always be passionate with everything that you're doing in life. Work, hobbies, family. So again, on this page, I just randomly stitched on there just for some interest. And you can see on the back side, I wasn't super careful with how messy my stitching was on the back side of the pages. I kind of liked where the threads were hanging up and just did a lot of scribbling on here. But it was kind of fun just to kind of let go and put some color down and some patterns down. And so on this page here, actually, this is the page that was there. But as I was working on this, it ripped. The paper was pretty thin, and as the stitching was in there and I kept moving it around, it actually ripped. But, you know, that's kind of cool. So I loved how it had a little bit of that text here. So I just took the page and stitched it to one of the fabric inserts in here and made just a little flip up. And I thought that was kind of fun. Just kind of went with it and created a fun little page on here. Do warm-hearted. It's important to always be warm and kind. And again, more baby wipes. You can see all the different colors from my wipe-offs. And it was just kind of fun because it was in the same color palette, and thought it would create a little bit of soft texture to the book. So again, I did another little baby wipe pull tag here. And then I used some of those stencil guts and just used it as a mask and placed it down on the paper and painted over it. And I did the same here. It was the same stencil gut, and I flipped it over so I could get the opposite on both here. And then just some more stenciling here. So do caring and do brave. It's always important to be caring to your fellow humans and to be brave. Always be brave in what you do. It might be scary a lot of times, but always be brave in what you do. And I just cut this stencil gut here so it would actually fit. That is the center, actually. Right there's the center of the book. And you can see on some of these papers that DeeDee had included in here, there was a lot of pattern, so I just embellished it a little bit, but I kind of left a lot of that peek through. I really liked that. And then same on these pages, this was actually from another page where I had used this stencil, and I used this as a wipe off, so it created the negative of it. And I just kind of left it. It was just random. It was just a bunch of little wipe offs that I used on that page, and it turned out good. And then on this one was just some lined paper, and again I made this stencil the highlight of that page, and again more of the baby wipe here as just a different accent. Do generous. It's important to always be generous. And then on this page, I was trying to not be perfect, so I was painting with this, not with a paintbrush. I was trying to do something where it wasn't perfect, and it actually inspired me. I think I'm going to do a whole canvas painting with this and a palette knife just to kind of expand my abilities here a little bit. But on this one, I just went ahead and cut out a little square. I thought it was kind of fun to see the peek through. And then you see it on this side. And again, just a bunch of scribbles. I wasn't really too careful. Do fearless. It's important to always be fearless. Kind of goes hand in hand with being brave. And again, you can see on some of these pages I used the stencil as the highlight, so I just painted in the negative space where the stencil was and just doodled on the page. So on this one, again, I used the stencil gut kind of as a negative, and I did it over both pages, but then made them slightly different. So you can see on this one, added the baby wipe tab, so do loyal. And then on this one is where the stencil gut was. And I just used here, I actually used a plastic fork to create the design. I dipped it in the paint. So you can see here's the fork. I dipped it in the paint and then just wiped it on my page. I was trying to not be perfect and be that different look where it wasn't exact and perfect, I guess. So again, on this page, I stitched another baby wipe on here so you can see on the back side. Again, I didn't really care. There were loose threads. So here's the other half of that bingo page. So I cut out several of the squares so you can see on both sides, so you can see the peek through. I thought that was kind of interesting. Do tough. It's important to always be tough. It's very easy to get down in life and, you know, let others tell you you can't do things. So you kind of have to be tough and, you know, toughen up and keep moving on. So again, I used that same gut as the negative here. I really loved how that is, just to kind of play on both the positive and the negative. And so the other half of that burlap, I just kind of left it like it was on this side. It picked up some of the paint from the other one and then used that star stencil on this side just to create a little bit of a pattern. Do compassion. I think it's important to always be compassionate and, you know, empathetic as well, to understand what others are going through, and you know, you don't always see the full story, so always be compassionate. And again, this was the other half of that page that DeeDee had already painted, so I just doodled a ton on it so you could, you know, just add some different look to it. You can see again there was that stencil with a bunch of scribbles. Do honest. That's probably one of the most important things. I do not like dishonesty. You know, honesty sometimes is very hard to take, but I would rather have the honest truth than not the real truth. So you at least know where you're coming from with that. So do honest is important. And then this is the back half. So again, I used kind of the same stencil as I did on the front and just embellished it a little differently. So go through close up, you can see some of these pages. Just go through it quickly so you can see some of the texture. And this is what's so fun about stencils. You don't really have to work super hard because it creates that interest immediately. You just put a little paint down with the stencil and, you know, you're kind of good to go. You can doodle around it if you want. You can use the stencil as a wipe off on some of these pages and you got kind of an instant thing. It's like creating on steroids. You don't really have to do much with it. And you can see I love dots, circles. There's a lot of try to repeat the same pattern on a lot of the pages. I love circles and I love the zigzag stitching as well. This has probably turned out to be one of my most favorite pages, which was an accident. See the detail on those pages. I like the color of that too, the lime with the purple. And I really like that too, how that turned out. And with the fork, that created just some interesting patterns and texture. And that's it. So then this is the outside of the book. I went ahead and stitched. She had some white stitching, so I wanted a little more contrast, so I just added a little bit of black zigzag stitching around the whole thing, and she just has the whole book tied together with this ribbon. So I just tie it around and good to go. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.